Hey everyone, it's Gina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A style video where I'm answering all of your most asked questions about curly hair, my life, and everything in between. I'm going to be going over things such as scalp care, protein and moisture balance, how to get more definition, how to deal with damage, lots of different topics. I know it can get lengthy sometimes with these Q&A videos, so what I'm going to do is organize these questions into the different topics and then include the topics as timestamps. So if you look at the bottom of the screen where the timestamps are, you can skip to the portion that you want to see and they are labeled. So I'm in a little bit of a different setting. I'm sitting here at my desk with my laptop and I have some tea ready to go so we can get started with answering all of your questions. So the first question is from Larisse Ann and it's about scalp issues. She asked, have you ever had scalp issues like redness, bumps, and itchiness? If so, how do you cope with it? Fortunately, I have never had major scalp issues. The only trouble I have with my scalp is I do get buildup really easily that I cannot seem to get rid of sometimes, unless if I do a good clarifying shampoo. Sometimes when I'm just using a regular co-wash or a shampoo, it's just not enough to really cleanse my scalp. So luckily, I've never had any issues like bumps or itchiness. I have gotten like pimples every once in a while, like in the back, and I think that's just from not properly cleansing or scrubbing enough sometimes in the back, or if you sweat a lot and you're just refreshing instead of washing your hair very frequently. So I'm not a doctor or a dermatologist, so I can't really address specific scalp issues, but I do know that if you're not properly cleansing or if you're just relying on a co-wash or even just relying on some low poo shampoos, it's just not enough of a cleanse sometimes. If you kind of like scratch your scalp, I know it's gross, but if you can scratch your scalp and you see a lot of residue like on your fingers and under your nails, then you have buildup on your scalp. So I would recommend using a sulfate shampoo. That's the easiest way to just remove all buildup, is just use a regular old sulfate shampoo. It doesn't matter what brand, just make sure you deep condition without silicones afterwards to add that moisture back in. So make sure there's no buildup happening that's causing those bumps or that irritation. Another thing it could be is like an allergy from fragrances or other ingredients. Some people are allergic to things like coconut or aloe or all kinds of different ingredients that are commonly found in curly hair products. So the best way to find out which product is actually causing it is just eliminate one product at a time and see how your hair improves, and then gradually reintroduce those products one at a time. And if the condition comes back, then you know which product it was from. There are also shampoos or scalp scrubs that are really good for dandruff and other issues. The Carol's Daughter Wash Day Delight is one of my favorite shampoos, and it actually contains salicylic acid in it, which is something you usually see for your face for acne treatment, but that's actually really good for dandruff. It kind of exfoliates any dead skin and stuff, so I do really like that one. I've also been enjoying the Drunk Elephant AHA BHA Scalp Scrub, and that has ingredients that actually chemically exfoliate. That can definitely help with scalp conditions as well. But if you do think it is something more serious, definitely see a dermatologist and figure out what is going on. So I always get questions about which products that I recommend, and a lot of you always want me to kind of assess your hair and recommend an exact product and styling routine for you, but it's so hard to recommend exact products for you because I've only tried what I've tried. There's so much more out there, and so I only really know, what I've tried in particular. So that can be really hard to do, and especially without knowing your hair in particular, it's hard for me to do that consultation just over a quick DM on Instagram or a comment. But if it is helpful, I do have a full list of all the products in my stash on my blog. It's under the shop page, so I will put that down below for you. I also have an Amazon page, but I think the easiest place to find everything is on that shop page of my blog. There's a category for hair, and I have all the products on there that I recommend. So that is a good place to go just to see some overall recommendations, but it really takes your own research and trial and error to figure out the best products for you. Okay, the next section of questions is about styling and how to get the best results when you're actually applying your products. So the first question is from TK Daily, and they asked, I wash my hair upside down but prefer to style it right way up. What is the best way to flip hair from upside down to right side up? I end up with a clump at the back of my head when I flip my hair and have to comb it through, but that loses all the clumps I gained from squishing. I can only wash over a bath. I don't have a shower. So this is really tough, and I totally understand what you're talking about. I've actually done a video about the differences in my hair from styling upside down versus right side up, and I personally get a lot better results from styling right side up. Whenever I style upside down, my hair just sticks to my scalp. Even if I separate it and pull it away, it just never looks good because I have high porosity hair, which naturally wants to just cling and stick together because of the raised cuticle. And I always end up with so much shedding from styling upside down because I'm like raking my hair forward, and that just leads to so many tangles for my hair type. So I totally get where you're coming from. I know you can get more clumps from squishing upside down and scrunching upside down, but I really recommend styling right side up if you have hair like mine that's more problematic and tangles and sheds a lot. But I understand that you're saying that you don't have a shower, so you can only wash your hair upside down in the tub. But have you ever tried in the tub like leaning your head back under the faucet? That's another way to do it. But it's not that big of a deal if you just wash your hair upside down. It's more the styling, so I recommend styling right side up if you need to wash your hair upside down over the tub. I definitely do that a lot of times. I will rinse out my deep conditioner upside down over the tub because I don't want to get back in the shower to rinse out my deep conditioner. It's not the most ideal. I end up losing more hair when I do that, but it does work. The other thing you can do is kind of lean your head to the side and rinse it this way, so the hair is kind of draping off of the back of your neck and off the back of your head, so you can kind of go side to side. It kind of takes some flexibility. I know it can be tough, but I definitely recommend styling right side up though, because then you don't get that weird stretched out part in the back. Even if you kind of lean to the side and pull it off of your scalp, it still never looks right in my opinion. So I just like styling right side up because then I can kind of situate the hair exactly where I want it when I am in the right side up position. So the next question is from I'm TC, and they asked, I have a very defined side part, but because of that, I'm not getting definition on my roots, since when my hair is wet, it automatically goes to the side and it lays there. Do you have any suggestions on how to get rid of a side part and transition into no part hairstyle or a less defined part for more volume? Totally know what you're talking about. My hair always wants to part. It's parted right here. It always wants to fall into that part. This is where I do recommend right side up styling, because then you can see how your hair is actually going to fall. If you haven't already tried this, try sectioning off your hair and using a brush. If you don't have like a Be Hairful brush or a Denman brush, you can just use like a paddle brush or even a wide tooth comb, and really just go piece by piece and work in sections. And then when you get to the top section, you can kind of work on pulling the hair in the backwards motion instead of from side to side. So what I do is I pick up like a horizontal section right here and I go straight up with the brush and let it just kind of fall back. And that's the best way I have found to avoid a defined part. But my hair does still want to part, and that's okay. But if you're looking to avoid your part, you can also kind of take your hands like this when it's wet and just direct the hair backwards. And then as it's drying, you could also kind of do that as well, but just be careful not to cause frizz. I am gonna have a video up soon all about how to keep your hair out of your face. And in that video, I'm sure you will see some tips as well on how to keep your hair back and not in such a defined part. Because I know that can be kind of frustrating. I have the same problem as well. So next question, a similar question, is from Michelle715. She says, I have really fine hair. How can I fix a back part and cowlick that looks like a bald spot? I've talked about this exact problem in my video. I did all about tips for fine curly hair and thin curls and low density hair. I will link that down below. But I do show some techniques on how to cover that. And I use a technique where I look at the back of my hair using a handheld mirror, and I just kind of situate the hair and make sure everything is covered, because I have that same problem, especially on refresh days. It always wants to separate just from sleeping. You know, whenever the hair is pressed against the head like this during the night, it wants to just separate. I have the same problem, so I definitely know what you're talking about. I think the tips in that video will help though and be better than me trying to explain it, so I will link that for you down below. So Peelpa from Instagram says, how do you prevent stringy thin curls? Well, I actually filmed a Instagram Reels on that this morning, so I will have that up this week. So make sure you follow me over on Instagram if you want to see that. I included 5 tips for dealing with stringy thin curls in that video, so look out for that over on Instagram. But I do share a lot of tips for that. I also have a video here on YouTube all about how to create curl clumps, so I think that will help you as well, just to figure out how to create better curl clumps when you are styling. I need some tea before this next topic because it's all about protein and moisture balance. That is one of the most asked questions that I get across the board, across all platforms, because everyone wants to know how to properly balance protein and moisture. And honestly, I'm still figuring it out myself. It definitely takes a lot of trial and error. You just don't want to sway too far from one side of the spectrum to the other because you could damage your hair. So it is important to understand, but it's always going to be a constant balancing act with your natural curls. So Becca asked, should you stick to a one brand wash day or use different products? I know they formulate the brand to work together, but I worry about too much moisture or protein. That's a really great question, and I actually have been experiencing that recently. There's certain brands that I find are really heavy in proteins versus some that are just straight up moisture and don't have any proteins in them. So it is important to read the ingredients and understand, how much moisture you're having in your hair that day, and if you need to just add in one product that has some more protein. So for example, Innersense and Bounce Curl are both lines that do have a lot of protein ingredients, especially the Bounce Curl Light Cream Gel. That one is heavy in wheat proteins, which are stronger proteins. So I have found when I use that gel, I have to use a really good moisturizing cream beforehand, like their Clump and Define cream, which might be protein free. I think that one is, but double check on that one. And also their Moisture Balance Leave-In Conditioner. That one's protein free and it has a lot of moisture. So including those underneath the gel make a big difference. Shampoos and conditioners, I don't feel like it makes the biggest difference, unless if they are loaded with a lot of proteins, then that would definitely make a difference. But if there's no protein in your shampoo and conditioner, I wouldn't worry about it affecting your routine too much. I've also been experimenting with some new products from Miche Beauty, and they are very heavily focused on moisture, and they only have a couple products that actually have protein in them. So for my wash day today, what I did was I made sure to use a protein mask before I styled with their stylers that are really heavy in moisture and don't have any protein, because I do need some protein to help give my hair more definition, and I do have higher porosity hair, so I need some protein in my routine. So since I was using completely protein-free stylers, I made sure to use a deep conditioner this morning that had protein. I also used a leave-in conditioner beforehand that had some protein in it. Even though I didn't really need it, I had enough moisture from the styler, but it did have some protein, so that helped kind of balance everything back out. But what you wouldn't want to do is use that same moisture-heavy routine every single week without switching it up with no protein, because that's how you could get moisture overload. Same goes for protein overload. If you had a routine that was really heavy in proteins, you wouldn't want to just use those products religiously back to back. Unless if those products have lighter proteins like amino acids. I talk about that in my video that I have all about how to fix protein overload. Mandy Parker asked, if you have healthy hair, do you need protein in it? So honestly, I don't really think that you need to be doing protein treatments if you have healthy hair. I don't think anyone really needs to be doing protein treatments at home. I mean, like the Frizzy protein treatments. I hear about that all the time in the curly girl world, and I think that can just be so detrimental to your hair, especially when you're doing it at home and you don't know exactly if your hair really needs protein. That can just be damaging. Those are meant to be done in a salon for a reason. So I don't recommend doing actual protein treatments. But when it comes to incorporating protein in your products, you can definitely do that. I just wouldn't overdo it if you have very healthy hair. The only benefit of having proteins in your products if you have healthy hair is just to give it more definition and help keep its strength that it already has. So I just wouldn't overdo it, but you can definitely incorporate some protein in your routine. I just wouldn't be doing straight up protein treatments, if that makes sense. I hope I'm pronouncing these usernames right, but Rosa D. Antonio 3, she says, do you have any recipes for a protein treatment or any tips to fix over moisturized hair? So here's the tea with at-home protein treatments. I don't think that they are really effective at all. Like if you're doing a egg mask or just any of those at-home DIY recipes, because those protein ingredients have not been hydrolyzed like a protein ingredient in an actual product. And that means they haven't been broken down small enough to actually penetrate into your hair. If you look at the back of your ingredients on your products, they say hydrolyzed wheat protein or something to that effect. And that is because the protein molecule has actually been broken down into a smaller form so it can be absorbed in your hair. If you were just putting straight egg on your hair or some other DIY mask that you've found online, it's just sitting on the surface of your hair, so you might have some benefits when you first use it, but then when you go to wash your hair the next day or whenever you're gonna wash your hair again, it just washes that protein right away. So it's not any actual lasting benefits for your hair, it's just sitting on the surface. That's why I don't recommend them. There are a lot of great, really affordable protein masks out there, especially like Not Your Mother's. They have some protein masks. They have those little packets that are like $3. So if that is why you're trying to make DIY homemade treatments, then I would definitely recommend checking out some really affordable drugstore products that have protein because they are cheap and can do the job too. Like Shea Moisture is another good affordable brand. They have a protein mask. There's a couple that I actually really like. So Kimmy MM asked, I got highlights in August. I've been doing Olaplex #3 treatments once a week. Good. Deep conditioning 2 times per week and doing an Frizzy 2-step protein treatment every 6 weeks. Yet my hair gets frizzy and looks dull by day 2. The hairdresser used Olaplex during the highlight session, and my hair is super curly and springy, so I don't think it is damaged. Is there anything I can do to battle the frizz or dull appearance? So you could be getting protein overload if you were doing the Frizz-Free treatments. I don't recommend doing that, especially if you're doing Olaplex. There's no need for pure protein treatments like Frizz-Free. I would just be doing your Olaplex treatments like you are doing once a week. That is great. If your hair is healthy and you feel like you don't need any more Olaplex, you don't have to keep doing it once a week. So everyone always asks, what is my Olaplex routine? What I like to do is usually about once a year or twice a year, I will do a routine where I do it once a week consistently, and then I will just stop for a while. And then I'll occasionally do another treatment here or there, but I don't know, that system has just worked for me because you do see results from doing it repeatedly back to back. But I'm not gonna do that forever, so I usually just do it for about 2 months or maybe 6 weeks at a time, and then I'll just repeat that process about once a year when I feel like my curls are starting to look more limp or if I feel like they need it. It's good that you were deep conditioning. I don't know that you need to be deep conditioning 2 times per week though, because you don't want to, again, get moisture overload. But if you're saying that you're battling a dull appearance or frizz, that could be from the protein overload, because my hair was very dull when I had protein overload. It really lacked a lot of shine and it had buildup on it. So you could try clarifying to remove any excess protein and then just hold off on doing a lot of protein treatments. Olaplex is not a protein treatment, but it does work like one. So it is going to help strengthen your hair. It's just in a little bit different of a way, and it has a different process, I guess, than a regular protein treatment. But it has the same effect, so you don't need to be doing Olaplex treatments plus Frizz-Free protein treatments, if that makes sense. I'm not a hair professional by any means, but this is just some things that I have learned from researching, so definitely do some research yourself as well. But that is just some of my experience. So the next questions involve routines, and Sarah Loving asked, if you had to cut your daily curl routine down to only 15 to 30 minutes, what would it look like and what would you prioritize? I'm actually going to be filming a video soon on a very quick wash day routine, and it's stressing me out so much because I spend, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, which I know is ridiculous, but I really like taking care of my hair and it's like a hobby and I do it once a week. But during the week I do a quick wash and go, and I think I can do that in like an hour or 30 minutes, but I'm going to work on figuring that out and film it for you guys, because I know a lot of you, it's not your hobby, you don't want to be doing this all the time and you just want to get out the door, and I totally understand that. So I'm really gonna work on cutting down my routine. Just off the top of my head, I guess what I would do is maybe a low poo shampoo, conditioner, leave the conditioner on just while I finish my shower, just so it can set a little bit if I don't have time to deep condition. And then I would probably use a leave-in or a cream or a gel or a mousse, and that be it. If it was summertime and I don't feel like my hair is very dry, then I would probably just go straight to a gel or a mousse, but my hair can dry out sometimes when I use just a mousse, so that would probably be my routine. I definitely have to diffuse because I hate my hair air dried, so that's the only thing that takes an extra 20 minutes for me. So next question is about refreshing, and jcorn0604 says, I can't seem to refresh my curls and not have all the frizz. There was a lot more refreshing questions, but they were all pretty much asking the same thing. How do you prevent frizz when you are refreshing? So the first thing that I like to do is detangle when I refresh my hair when it's really bad and frizzy. I know not everybody detangles when they refresh. Some people can just put on some more product and then go out the door, but I find that I have to detangle a lot of times. So what I do is just add some leave-in conditioner and water to my hands, or I will add a curl cream and some water just to dilute it a little bit so I'm not applying too many products. Then I gently finger detangle my hair. I don't detangle completely from my root all the way to the end, mostly just the ends. Then I add some more gel to top that off. Sometimes I even will use a brush like the Be Hairful brush or the Denman brush to help fix some of the frizzy curls. So I will just pick up a ringlet that's looking frizzy and then go over it with the brush and then add in some more gel and diffuse. So I definitely recommend trying diffusing if you are not already diffusing on refresh days, because I find that the quicker you set that cast in place, then you're not going to develop as much frizz after you refresh, because then your hair doesn't have time to, start to frizz up as it's air drying. So those would just be some of my tips, but obviously I've done some refreshing videos. I did a video recently all about a week of curls. It was a full week in my life type video, but I do several refresh routines in that video, so I will link that for you down below. So Andrea Mutzabal, I hope I said your last name right, she says, what is the best curl creams and gels that you found to protect against frizz living in a very humid climate? So I struggle with humidity so bad, and the best gel that I've ever tried for humidity is the Weed Heat and Humidity Gel, the stronger hold version. That one has definitely been the best for me, and I really like the watery, slippery texture because that's great for high porosity hair. It doesn't cause any tangles, and it's also very moisturizing. I do usually use a cream underneath. The cream can really be anything, but I like the Amika cream as a good pair to put underneath of it. I've definitely done videos featuring that combo a lot in the past. The Bounce Curl products are also great in humidity, so I would use the Clump and Define Cream or the Moisture Balance Leave-In Conditioner and then use the Bounce Curl Light Cream Gel. And to get more hold with the Bounce Curl Gel, try applying it to damp hair instead of soaking wet hair so you don't dilute it as much. But that gel has copolymers in it that really help to protect against humidity. Also, the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk Mousse also has polyquat ingredients that help block humidity. So look for any ingredients that say like polyquaternium, I think that's how you say it. Any of those poly ingredients or polymers are gonna help block humidity and seal in the cuticle. So Franny Bella T is asking about halo frizz around the crown area. She said that she has a lot of hair standing up around the crown. She does color her hair. She says, my hair tends to soak up the oil that I massage onto my scalp and hair, so I need to apply it again. She also says she has less hair around the crown area, so she does want to look at fixing that too, and the climate has a lot of heat and humidity. So I definitely have experienced frizz around the crown area. I've done a full video all about how to prevent frizz around the top like root area, so I will link that for you down below because there's tons of causes as frizz, especially in this area. But you said that you live in an area with a lot of heat and humidity, and that's probably the cause of most of it. So like I was saying in the last couple questions, look for those products that have those humidity blocking ingredients in it. Again, I've done another video all about how to deal with humidity, like ingredients to avoid and ones to look for, so that gives a full breakdown. I'll also put that down below. I know I'm mentioning a lot of videos, but I've done videos on a lot of these topics that you guys maybe just haven't seen. Also, you mentioned oils. I don't always recommend using oils on your hair, maybe just as a sealing product. I also use oils as a pre-poo step to dry detangle before I shampoo, but I don't really use oils in the middle of my routine. Because I find that they just block moisture from absorbing and they just don't really moisturize the hair. So I don't really recommend a lot of oils unless it's for pre-poo or using as a finisher serum at the end of your styling routine. Also, the first thing that comes to my mind is, are you applying your products to your root? I recommend applying your products from the root all the way down to prevent frizz. A lot of people just apply them like at the lower half, which I get if you're trying to avoid your roots from getting way down, but definitely take your gels and your mousse and stuff all the way to the top to help prevent frizz up there. So the next several questions are all surrounding definition and just improving your curl pattern. So Valerie C asks, my hair has these pieces that are completely straight and won't curl, and the ones in the middle are very stretched out. What are some ways that I could fix this? So it sounds like you might have some damage that you need to get cut off. If it's not damage at all and it's just, I think you said it's in the middle, so maybe it's not damage. So if you've already had a haircut, you don't think you have damage, then you can check out the video that I did all about how to deal with uneven curl patterns, because I see this question all the time. There was a ton of these, and I've already done a video all about it, and I include tons of tips from top to bottom all about how to deal with having uneven curl patterns. So I pretty much talk about a lot of ways that you can increase your curl definition. So Ashani Das says, my hair tends to be more curlier at the end of the week than on wash day. Can you tell me the basic cause and solution to this? So this is totally normal. Our hair just naturally gets stretched out throughout the week. Mine definitely does, especially if you're putting your hair up in a pineapple at night and that's kind of stretching it out, or if you're wearing your hair up a lot throughout the week, that can stretch it out. But again, it's just normal for a curl pattern to fall throughout the week. I would recommend incorporating gels that have strong hold on your wash day to help give your hair that structure that it needs. You can also use gels with protein that will really help give it some curl definition, and also refresh with those as well. So add a little bit more gel as you're refreshing. That way you're adding that hold back to keep that curl in place throughout the week. So the next set of questions is about washing your hair and also about buildup. So Maggie Gonzalez says, it's a COVID question. Is low poo enough to cleanse our hair if we go out? I'm getting back to work, and first is our health, or do we need a clarifying shampoo? You're definitely right. Your health is more important. So I totally understand if you have to wash your hair every single day that you work, that's definitely more important. I would recommend using a low poo and just a clarifying shampoo once a week or every couple of weeks. You definitely don't need to be clarifying every time that you shampoo. You can also use a co-wash if you have just washed your hair and it's only been a day or so. A co-wash is a good way to gently cleanse the hair and just remove products so you can restyle. You just have to be careful to not just be co-washing all the time, every single day. You don't want to get moisture overload. So I would definitely work in some products in your styling routine that have some protein. Don't go to bed with your hair wet either. I know a lot of people tend to do that if they're washing their hair every day. Always go to bed with your hair dry because you don't want to develop any scalp conditions or any fungus conditions on your scalp from having wet, damp hair pressed against your scalp all night. That just can't dry very good. So always try and get your hair dry before you go to bed if you're washing it every single day. So Yanli_939 says, I've tried many buildup removing products, but I still get a lot of buildup. What else would you recommend to get rid of scalp buildup? This is tough, and like I said, I have cleansed my hair before multiple times and still have buildup on my scalp, and it's so frustrating because then you get out of the shower and you're like, why is there still buildup? I would recommend trying one of those shampoo scrubber brushes. I got mine on Amazon, and it's definitely really helped using that to kind of lift away any buildup. You can also try any kind of shampoos that have a targeted nozzle on them. So the Carol's Daughter Wash Day Delight and the Bounce Curl Clarifying Shampoo, those are like my two favorite clarifying shampoos because they actually remove buildup. I don't have any residues left over, and they also have a nozzle on them. So you're able to apply the product right on your roots, and you can kind of feel the product, you know, going down over your scalp, and then you can go in and scrub that way. So maybe you just haven't tried the right clarifying shampoo. And it could also be your water. If you have hard water, then you might be getting more buildup from the hard water and your hair doesn't feel clean after you shampoo it. So look for a chelating shampoo like the Malibu Undo Goo. I've never tried that one, but I've heard it's a great clarifying shampoo for hard water buildup. So the next couple questions are all about damage and shedding. So Lime Ice Cream asks, how can one deal with frizzy, broken hair around the crown that always stands up? Is it possible to prevent single strand knots? So that's similar to the other question that was asked about that halo frizz, so I do have a video about that. Single strand knots are oftentimes caused from actual friction and breakage, and if you need your hair trimmed, anytime I need a trim, I always get single strand knots all over the place. It's like the first sign that I need a trim soon, and that is just because a higher porosity area or an area of your ends that have been damaged, it has that raised cuticle, so the hair sticks to itself, and that can cause knots. Also, the way that you are treating your hair when you're detangling. So if you detangle a lot in the shower with a ton of conditioner, then try dry detangling. I know it sounds crazy, but it definitely helps prevent breakage. So I do have a video all about how to dry detangle. I will link it for you down below along with all these other ones. But dry detangling has definitely saved my hair, and I have so many less one strand knots from doing that instead of detangling in the shower, which can just lead to so much breakage. The next question says, what do you do to prevent further shedding? I know I need to do a video all about shedding, but it's such a loaded topic because there can be so many causes of shedding, but just some tips to prevent actual like further shedding when you are styling and stuff. So if you have really bad shedding, I would maybe avoid using brushes when you're styling. I find that that can definitely lead to more shedding. Also, avoid styling your hair upside down if you have a lot of shedding. I always end up with more shedding when I style upside down versus right side up. I don't know if it's because I'm like pulling all my hair forward and so that follicle is being bent in the other direction and it's easier to fall out. I don't know, that's just a theory. But I just tend to have so much more shedding when I style upside down. So if you are styling upside down, maybe try right side up and see if that helps. As well as shampooing. Anytime I shampoo upside down, I always get more shedding. But just be very gentle when you are detangling. Like I said before, you can try out dry detangling. I always have less shedding when I dry detangle because you're not getting as much breakage. So it is important to look to see, is your shedding a lot of breakage or if it's just hair that you're naturally shedding. I think the average is like 100 strands a day is normal, and if you're going 5 to 6 days in between your washes, that's like 500 to 600 hairs that you're seeing in your hands or in your brush when you're detangling. So just keep that in mind, that it's completely normal to feel like you're losing a lot of hair when you were following the curly girl method. I feel like everyone asks that, but those are just some things that have helped me when I'm styling to help prevent even more shedding from occurring after I've already detangled. So the next question is about having thin curly hair, which we've talked about briefly already, but MANE Life says, I'm just starting, but I have very fine hair, so what are things that I need to avoid during the process? So I would recommend checking out the video I have all about how to care for thin, fine curly hair. You would want to avoid really heavy butters and stuff. Like you wouldn't want to use products that come in a big tub like this that are really thick. Those tend to be too heavy for fine hair. I can usually use them though because my curl texture is actually more coarse, so I can withstand those heavier products, but look for more lightweight products. A lot of times foams and mousse are a really good option for fine curly hair. You can also use leave-ins instead of curl creams if you think curl creams weigh your hair down too much. So those are just some quick ideas, but I would definitely recommend checking out that full video that I've already done with tons of tips for thin curls. So the next set of questions are more personal questions. So questions about my life and my job and everything. Thank you guys for asking a variety of questions. It's always fun to kind of mix it up. So Little Brown LADKI asks, hey, what do you do for a living and what is your full-time job? So I've talked about this a couple times in different like day in the life videos that I've done. I actually still work full-time for a marketing agency. I know that's rare to see a YouTuber that's still working full-time, but I'm passionate about both jobs. But I am still working full-time in a marketing agency. So I do social media marketing and paid media for the corporate marketing department for the agency. So Amanda Burgos says, do you plan on starting a family soon? So a lot of questions about that. You guys know I just got married a year ago. Probably not anytime soon. I would say, I don't know, in maybe like 5 years or so. I'm just so focused on like my career and just our marriage and stuff. So I don't have any plans anytime soon. I could see us definitely waiting quite a bit. We definitely take things very slow. So it'll probably be a while for sure because I just don't have the desire yet. I'm just so focused on us and our life together. She then says, would you consider doing more lifestyle vlogging content? I mean, if you guys were interested, but a lot of you always want to watch the hair videos, so you want to see more lifestyle content, definitely let me know. It definitely seems to be a smaller percent, so I don't do those videos quite as much because I know a lot of you guys just want to learn about hair. Totally understand that, but I do probably a little bit more over on my Instagram stories. I do try and share more day-to-day stuff on there, so a lot more content over there. So Jenny M asked, what type of job do you do and what made you get started with YouTube videos? So I actually started with YouTube 9 years, almost 10 years now. That is so crazy to think about, but I actually started off as a beauty channel. I feel like everybody says that. But I first started off doing makeup videos. That was definitely my first passion. I was also doing fashion videos and I did a lot of hair straightening videos. Fun fact, that was actually one of my first YouTube videos was how to straighten curly hair. And I showed you how I straightened my hair, which I straightened my hair all the time back when I was younger. I always was playing around with straightening and curling it. I just loved doing heat styling videos. It wasn't until probably, maybe it was like 2015 or 16 when I first really started the curly girl method and really dove right in. It's only been a couple years, I guess, since I fully followed it and stopped heat styling my hair. So I first started off with makeup videos and I started my channel just because I had a blog and I was already blogging and I wanted to be able to actually share my routines and makeup favorites and all that kind of stuff actually on camera. So I started the YouTube channel to complement my blog. So Liv Dilemma asked, what does Nathan do for a job? So Nathan is my husband. Thank you for asking, Liv. So Nathan works in environmental health and safety. So he's in more of like a sciencey job than me. So definitely completely different than what I do in business marketing. So Kaylin Toussaint, I hope I said that right. She says, any tips for an inspiring curly hair vlogger? I have ideas for videos, but I don't know where to start in terms of marketing and getting subscribers. So I'm so excited to hear that you're interested in starting vlogging. I definitely recommend it. It's very fun. My biggest tip is always just, of course, to be very authentic and real, and then really make sure you stay true to your values. So never, review something that you wouldn't actually use or recommend. And also just really focus on providing value. That is definitely my main goal here, is just to provide so much value and help for you guys and really make it more about you and how I can serve you and not about me. So my Instagram page or my YouTube videos are not just all about me and what I'm doing and selfies and stuff like that. It's really about you guys and how I can teach you something instead of just making my content all about myself. I hope that makes sense, but that's just one thing I've really tried to do. So They Call Me Mara says, how did you meet your husband? So this is gonna be the last question. I know I've talked for a ridiculous long amount of time, but I wanted to get to a variety of questions. So Nathan and I actually met when I was just finishing up 8th grade. I know it's insane. We've been together like, I don't know, maybe 13 years now. We met in 2007. So yeah, it's been 13 years. It was a very different time back then. So I had just finished 8th grade and he was in 10th grade. We were like 2 grades apart. So we actually met through a mutual friend in school. So that was really fun. And then we ended up talking, I think maybe 6 months after first meeting or so. So yeah. the rest was history, I guess. So that was a lot of questions. I hoped you made it to the end of this. Thank you if you did. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you made it till the end of this. I will be sure to list out all these videos that I mentioned. I know I threw out a ton of videos, but there are a lot of topics I've already done videos on that were asked in these questions. So I think you guys can really get more of a better answer by watching those videos. If you haven't yet downloaded the wash day schedule, I will put the link down below for that as well. And make sure you get your hands on it. It's a completely free PDF guide that you can download to help you better understand how to clarify and how to deep condition and when to work in protein and moisture and all that stuff. So it just gives it in a different visual way that I think will be really helpful if you're struggling with building your wash day routine. So that is it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. I would love to see you back next week, and I will talk to you in next week's video. Bye everyone.